In this video, let's explore again why segmentation matters. We covered the flat network problem and how VLANs create zones. Now let's talk about what segmentation actually does when an attack is in progress and what it can stop, what it slows down, and why containing a breach is almost as valuable as preventing it. In the last video, we talked about lateral movement and how that works on a flat network. The attacker gets a foothold on one machine, and from there, the entire network is reachable with no barriers. Segmentation changes that equation. An attacker who compromises a device in one zone hits a boundary when they try to reach devices in another zone. That boundary, again enforced by a firewall at the inter-VLAN routing point or on the router or firewall, means the attacker can't just walk the network the way a technician would. To reach a PLC in the field control zone, they need to find a vulnerability in the boundary itself, or a misconfiguration, or a device that bridges both zones. That's harder, slower, and more likely to generate the kind of unusual traffic that shows up in firewall logs. The goal of segmentation isn't to make lateral movement impossible, it's to make it expensive enough in time and noise that defenders have a chance to respond. Think of segmentation the way you think about fireproof doors and fire compartmentalization in a building. The fire still happens, you haven't prevented the initial ignition, but without compartmentalization, a fire in one room spreads to the entire building before the fire department arrives. With compartmentalization, the fire is contained to its zone while responders deal with it. That's what segmentation does to the blast radius of our breach. Each zone boundary the attacker has to cross takes time. Time to find the path, time to exploit it, and creates an additional opportunity for detection. A real incident response team can identify and contain a breach if they have hours to respond. They can't contain it if the attacker moves from initial compromise to critical OT access in minutes. Segmentation will buy us that time. Stuxnet is an instructive case. We've alluded to that several times. It crossed the air gap via USB. Segmentation wouldn't have stopped that entry point. But once inside, it propagated across facility networks looking for specific Siemens S7 PLCs operating at the rotational speeds that identified uranium centrifuges. Better segmentation wouldn't have prevented the initial infection, but it would have limited which segments the malware could reach and which PLCs it could communicate with, reducing its impact even without stopping the entry. In attacks on power utilities, including the 2015 Ukraine power grid attack, attackers spent months inside the network before taking action. They moved laterally through the network slowly and carefully, mapping systems and collecting credentials. The absence of strong segmentation and traffic monitoring allowed that extended reconnaissance to go undetected. The lesson in both cases isn't that segmentation would have made these facilities invulnerable, it's that segmentation would have made the attacks more difficult, slower, and noisier, and more likely to be detected before reaching their objective. Another benefit of segmentation that's easy to overlook, it creates natural detection points. In a flat network, all traffic looks the same. A SCADA server pulling a PLC and an attacker doing reconnaissance both generate similar looking network traffic to any device on the same flat network. There's no single point where you can monitor what's crossing from one zone to another because there are no zone boundaries to cross. In a segmented network, the inter-VLAN routing points and firewalls are choke points. All traffic that crosses those zone boundaries passes through a controlled point where it can be inspected, logged, and compared against a baseline. A device in the engineering VLAN that's suddenly trying to connect to a PLC it has never communicated with before stands out. That anomaly might not be visible on a flat network. On a segmented network, it generates a log entry at the boundary. We'll cover network monitoring, logging, and what anomalies to look for in later modules. The key point here is that segmentation doesn't just limit what attackers can reach, it creates the structure that makes detection possible. In the next video, we will cover the IT-OT convergence problem, the shift that changed OT network security more than anything else in the past 2 decades, and what it means for how we need to design and manage these networks.